Hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about the chapter Reproduction in Living Organisms from class 12 MS Board. It is Maharashtra State Board syllabus. Okay, now it's a very important chapter from the point of view of the information which is there displayed in terms of for the medical students as well as the one who are going to conduct further studies in the research categories. Okay, now this reproduction, when we say, now why it is essential, why we are concentrating on this particular process. Okay, it's a process of getting some new ones, okay, of a particular breed. Now here we will be coming across many terms, okay, which will be carrying same meaning, so that will be a synonym. Okay, like for what now suddenly if someone if the question is displayed like apomixis, what do you mean by apomixis, or what do you mean by amphimixis, what is a fusion, what do you mean by asexual reproduction? Okay, so this chapter displays so many terms, okay, of this kind, and we are supposed to grasp them very easily. Okay, so I have displayed it in the form of a tree diagram. So see here, first of all, we should know that a short and sweet definition on reproduction. Then what is its need? What is the need or what is the significance of reproduction process in one's life? Maybe in human life, in animal life, in plant life, in insect life, or in lower organism. Okay, now before moving ahead, naturally, okay, by nature, due to the dependency requirements, the organisms have been classified, okay, into lower class animal and higher class animal. Now lower class animals means they don't belong to any kind, but their requirements are very low, and their requirement are not very stringent. They grow anywhere, okay, their size is small, then they don't have a particular dimension or a configuration. So, and similarly, higher class animals means they are having a well defined structure, they have internal well defined system, a cellular system to carry out their metabolism, to carry out various activities. There are specific organs present in them to carry out one particular activity. For example, if to explain, is like when we say like amoeba. Okay, when we say a amoeba, how does a amoeba look like? Amoeba is the first and foremost example which the students are studying right from the 6th standard, when they are getting introduced to the life science. Okay, so it is a unicellular organism, okay, of the very first kingdom under invertebrates. So this amoeba is an animal, and it is showed in the form of like this, and one end is called as a pseudopodia. Okay, from one the food is entering, it is getting processed by the specific enzyme of lysozyme category, and then it is ejected out, okay, through the outlet. Okay, so it's a very simple process. It is not requiring any kind that it should have a jejunum, a large intestine, small intestine, nothing at all. The thing is, because it is only a single cell organism, that's why it can accommodate anywhere, it can grow anywhere. It requirements are very much less, and then accordingly their energy generation is low, and it is sufficient for carrying out the metabolic activity. And similarly, when we say that what kind of reproduction will the amoeba be using, okay, so it will be making use of a asexual mode of reproduction, because it is not having any specific structures which make a difference of male and femaleness. Okay, so it just grow by a process which is called as here budding. Okay, budding. So similarly, when we talk about animal, or we can say a human, okay, human hai, then insects are there. Okay, insects may you do find insects, birds. We have a very differentiation between them depending upon the gender. Okay, that the male animal and female animal, similarly male and females in humans, so they have a specificity in them which does not fit into the asexual mode of reproduction. So they have advanced version or advanced process which is categorized as a sexual mode of reproduction, which is called as amphimixis. Okay, now particularly this chart has been displayed for showing the reproduction in plants. Okay, I have mentioned over here because we are studying the reproduction in living organisms, and living organisms में plants भी आते हैं and animals भी आते हैं. So this chart is first for plants and the next one is for the animals. There is no much difference because the terms are same. Only the thing is the names which are given. Apomixis is a term which is given for asexual reproduction, which is being carried out for plant lower plants, and amphimixis is used for the higher plants, because we never used amphimixis term for human reproduction. Okay, it is purely called as sexual mode of reproduction. So we will study it in step by step, one by one. So so the significance of reproduction is it helps in perpetuation or continuation of the species in nature. Okay, so for what purpose it is required? Okay, now for example, we know, we have studied that what is a food chain in ecosystem. We know, okay, in our ecosystem is composed of what? Biotic and abiotic factors. Okay, biotic comprises of living organism, living things, and abiotic, non-living things or environmental factors. Okay, now environmental factors will be remaining over there. There is restoration of environmental factors every second, like the level of oxygen, CO2, okay, then your nitrogen, sulfur, etc. But what about biotic things? What about living things? Living things, regeneration is not taking place very easily as the abiotic factors is there. So for the restoration of the numbers of these living things, this reproduction process is very essential. And this reproduction is majorly or categorically carried out by two specific modes in plants as well as in animals, that is by asexual and sexual. Now when the reproduction takes place simply without mixing of two kind of cells, okay, it is simply the regeneration of a new cell from the parent one, it is called as asexual. And when two different cells termed as male and female, they fuse with each other, and then they give rise to the resulting zygote, and then that zygote develops into a seed in case of plants, and into you can say an entire animal, okay, in case of sexual reproduction in animals. Okay, so similar so these processes helps us to maintain or to restore the number of biotic factors which are required in carrying out the cycles, food chain cycles in the ecosystem. Okay, so that will come in the significance part. Now generally such questions are not asked, like give the significance of reproduction, or why do the reproduction, or what is the relationship between reproduction and the ecosystem reverberance. Okay, but we are supposed to relate each and every factor, okay, with the other one, so that the understanding helps us to grasp the most of information which is, or the data which is present in the concept. Okay, so for that purpose it is very essential. So here I will just show out the layout of the chart. In plants, when we say for the modes of reproduction, asexual is also called as apomixis, that is without mixing. Apo means without, it's removing. So where mixing is not there, that kind of reproduction when it is being carried out, it is called as asexual. Now this asexual reproduction is being taking place in unicellular organisms as well as multicellular, means the one with only one cell, they are called as unicellular organism. Now in case of plants, the example of unicellular would be algae. Okay, in algae comes Pyrochyra. Okay, it is a single celled single celled plant organism. Okay, now what are the steps by which the unicellular organisms carry out asexual reproduction? First is binary fission. Binary means what? Fission means division. The division is a process by which the parent cell divides in to give rise to two daughter cells. So that is binary means two. Now budding. Budding means what? Now how the way in which the bud comes out on a plant. Okay, similar kinds of buds are formed on the parent cell. Okay, and upon maturation that bud is pinched off, or it gets removed off. Okay, so I will just try to show. Now this budding takes place in fungus. Okay, now see, if this is a parent cell, the budding takes place at a particular point where the entire concentration of the nuclear material takes place, and it gives rise to a small structure, bulbous structure. Now slowly this bulbous structure will mature. It will acquire the divided nuclear content into it. Okay, and then again before its maturity it will give rise to a small bud structure. So similarly such structures are formed, and upon maturity they are then pinched off from their parent cell. That is called as budding. Budding mostly takes place in yeast. Then sporulation, spore formation, and fragmentation. Okay, spores are what? Spores are the dehydrated cell structures which upon the emergence of favorable conditions, they give rise to a new plant. Similarly, fragmentation takes place for spirogyra like structures. Spirogyra is having a rectangular structure. Okay, it divides itself into long thread like fragments. Okay, and dehisce off, and after that it will give rise to each fragment will give rise to a new plant cell. Okay, then in multicellular organism, now you will be amazed, like how if multicellular organisms are higher organism, then why do they have the asexual mode of reproduction? But still, for their perpetuation, that is for increasing in their numbers or for increasing in the girth, they are supposed to undergo such a sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, so first is vegetative propagation, means vegetatively the plant will grow, the new shoots will be forming, new branches will form. Okay, second is tuberous roots. Now tuberous roots means what? And tuberous stems. Now the modified roots and stems which we consume in the form of potato, onions, or the ginger and turmeric, okay, those are all the modified, we call them as a modified root and stem. So they are actually a part of the asexual mode of reproduction. Secondly is the sexual mode of reproduction or amphimixis. In amphimixis, what happens? There is the fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Okay, this male gamete is motile and female gamete is non-motile. Female gamete is called as egg, which is present in the ovary. Okay, which is a ovule present in the ovary, and the female and the male gametes are formed after germination of the pollen grains on the stigma of the carpel or the female reproductive part of the flower. And for carrying out a sexual reproduction, a flower is very essential. The flower displays all the male and female reproductive parts. So what happens in this is, it's a fusion of male gamete and female gamete to form diploid zygote. This diploid zygote divides and redivides continuously to give rise to a seed. Now sometimes this seed is enclosed in a fruit. Okay, or we have to say that when the ovules are enclosed in the ovary, we have the seeds enclosed in the fruit. Okay, sometimes the seeds are just open because they don't have the ovary. Okay, now such kind of examples you can see, like cycas plant which is there, it is a gymnosperm, it is a naked seed. Okay, there is no ovary. So this particular plant gave rise directly to seed instead of a fruit with seed. And in other angiospermic plants, the seeds are always present inside the fruit. Okay, and the maturation takes place by two main process. Microsporogenesis is for the male gamete formation and megasporogenesis is for the female. Now these symbols are typically used. This the circle with arrowhead is for male, and the circle with cross for female. Okay, so the later part will be covering in the next session.